Ladies and gentlemen, and now he walks into the building. My man Deontay Wilder is here, the WBC champ. Big fight this weekend at the Barclays Center. And I'm going to start off right off top. We just learned that Anthony Joshua, who wins his fight last weekend, in a classic boxing moment of not wanting to get out of its own way, the WBC is looking to make you fight another mandatory title defense, delaying the Joshua fight. Am I misunderstanding that, or is that right?
I haven't heard that.
You haven't heard that?
No, not at all. This news to my ears.
Well, I feel terrible being the one to tell you this. Yes, this is when I Googled your name this morning to do my basic bitch last minute preparation, assuming I'm not going to get anything that crazy and that I know everything. The main story that's out there right now is that the WBC wants you to have a mandatory defense against, here it is, Bleacher Report 1 hour ago. Here we go. I'll read you the whole article, Deontay. Hold your wallet. Someone make sure his wallet's being watched when this happens, because you might see it deflate. It might lose its erection slightly when you see this. Anthony Joshua's potential 2018 with fellow heavyweight Deontay Wilder could be under threat after the WBC announced the winner of Dominic Breazeale against Eric Molina, which is on your undercard, will become the mandatory challenger for Deontay Wilder's WBC title. This is per Daniel Matthews of Mail Online. That's what they are reporting, is that now they will delay and make you fight one more. So you're hearing this for the first time right now.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
I know they was fighting for the mandatory spot, as well as I was hearing this in the UK, the Dylan White versus Robert Helenius would be, they fighting for the WBC silver belt, but it would be a mandatory as well too. So maybe
a mandatory for you, or that would be a mandatory for Joshua?
That'd be mandatory for me as well too. So it's kind of confusing. You know, boxing is a confusing sport when it comes to certain things.
You don't appear angry though.
Not at all.
Is that just because you want more information, or because you expected that maybe there would still be delays and you're just focused on Saturday anyway, so you're not worried about it?
I mean, I'm a type of person that, I can put my brain in so many different places and still focus on the main task that lies at hand. So with that being said, thinking about the mandatories, whoever get put in place, let it may be. You know what I mean? For me, it's like when I think about fighting another mandatory and stuff like that, because I got a year to fight a mandatory, no matter who it is.
Right.
So during that time, why not put a Joshua in there? But boxing is all about this right here.
Yeah, it's about the money.
It's always back doors and stuff like that, so you don't know where to slip in. But, if that is the case, then I may have to fight a mandatory, then so be.
Does it frustrate you? This is one thing that always interests me in boxing. It's like, your last fight was, 9 months ago? Mm-hmm. February, something like that?
Yeah.
Time goes away in chunks in boxing, right? It's like you're going to get a fight here. All right, your next fight, boom, that's 7 months.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know that you're taking 6 or 7 months. So when you have something like Anthony Joshua, which, now listen, let's keep it totally real. His numbers on the fight this past weekend are way down from where they were against Klitschko, about 50%. Not shocking information. As we all know, Klitschko is a huge name. It was his last fight. It was a big moment. But Anthony Joshua needs you as well. You guys sort of need each other in terms of getting that true big money payday. Correct. And every time you wait longer, you never know. We've seen this before. People get knocked out, then no one cares about the fight anymore, exactly. And all of a sudden money goes away. So how difficult is that when it's a rare sport where it's not like, oh, I'll get him tomorrow, I'll get him next week. You decide on another fight, that's 6 months out of your life. And then it's another 6 months till the next fight. So it's like, okay, now it's a year from now. Is that frustrating?
Yeah, it could be. It could be, it's just like you said, we was thinking about the same thing, though. That's why why wait? He's talking about he need maybe 2018, 19, or even 20 to put himself in a better position of beating me. Champions don't talk like that. Like I said, it's like I'm a champion, you a champion, and I want to fight you. Then you put aside everything else, even mandatories. You can when it's come to a unification bout, you can put away the mandatories. You can put aside.
It's gotten done before.
I just did it.
Okay.
I don't even supposed to be fighting Stavern, come November the 4th. It was going to be Luis Ortiz.
And how did it end up being Stavern?
Because Luis Ortiz decided he wanted to up one on me and use PEDs. You know what I mean? So Now it turned back to my mandatory because I was gonna put him aside. I pay him aside money to.
Oh, so you could pay the mandatory and be
Of
like, hey,
course.
sit tight. I'm gonna go get this other fight.
Lennox Lewis, he made money. He made millions off sitting aside. You know what I mean? I think it was Lennox, either Lennox or I think it was Lennox.
Well, from people not wanting to deal with him.
Well, just putting it, I think it either was Lennox paid somebody or they did something like that. But it's a history of sit aside money. You can sit well off of sit aside money. You know what I mean? It's just the big fights people want the big fights to happen. And if you get a mandatory that come in, especially somebody that you've already beaten, like convincingly, nobody really wants to see that. But if you got like somebody just like me in the situation with Berman Stavern, a lot of people don't want to see it, but for the simple fact, this is my guy this is the only guy that I didn't knock out, and I'm coming back to redeem myself, so I can say that there's never been no man that Deontay Wilder hasn't fought that I hasn't knocked out. This is what is so special about this fight. But it's just like we got Joshua. If we want to put Severn aside, here go Joshua. Let's close in. Two kings come together,
Let's do it.
unify the division, and then you come back to the mandatory. So that's the way around. But so it's always
There's a workaround.
Yeah,
There's a workaround.
for sure. So
Didn't you already beat Molina or Brazil?
Molina.
And I think I read Joshua beat Brazil.
Correct.
So it's a little frustrating to think about the winner of that fight being a mandatory and you've beaten one of them. It could be the guy you've already beaten.
Yeah.
So I hope that we figure it out because I'll tell you, I know a lot of fans of the heavyweight division. I'm probably up at probably a year now, at least, that I've been thinking about Wilder and Joshua and thinking, okay, well, to me, in the eyes of and I'm going to go ahead and call myself a casual boxing fan,
Okay.
though I guess compared to what society is right now, a casual boxing fan is more like an intense boxing fan because the super casual boxing fan doesn't exist the way it did in the early 90s, late 80s when there was a much bigger pool of casual fans. But as someone who follows along and has been keeping an eye on you now for 2-3 years, about a year ago, we got the idea that you and Joshua, the two biggest names, you knock people out in spectacular fashion, this huge, brawling American versus this charismatic, very interesting, and so far really technically sound-looking Anthony Joshua. This could be a money fight. I hope we get that opportunity because I was kind of ready for the division. I think the division needs it
for sure.
to set things off. And, I spent a whole life in hip hop with people reminiscing on the good old days. And I'm sure you're used to this, and I hate it. The constant being like, oh, I'm a fan of your stuff, but I miss Tyson, right? We get it. The good old days were the good old days. And so I hate saying that. But at the same time, it is true that up until the mid-'90s, the heavyweight division was chock full of big-name Americans and international fighters who kept people interested. And I think you guys coming together will be really big for the division. I just hope it doesn't get blown because the WBC wants to be too cute. Let's not be cute right now. Let's make money.
Right, I agree with you. And I say it all the time when people reminisce about the back in the past and stuff like that. And I always tell them, man, we can't live in the past. We gotta make what the future and where the present and the future. We gotta start with the present. What's going on right now to make the future better. So with the present, you got all these nice big fights, just like we talking about me and Anthony Joshua. We got these fights that needs to happen. Like we don't need to wait around. That's why the division is hot right now. You got to keep it hot. You got to keep some on the iron. You know what I'm saying? To keep it steaming. Keep that water in that iron. To keep the steam coming.
And the momentum
and
the momentum picked up too because I'm assuming you watched Joshua Klitschko.
Correct.
Really entertaining fight.
I was there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I commentated with Sky Sports.
You did the Sky Sports coverage. Cool. And so, really entertaining fight, right?
Correct.
Sort of helped give the division a little bit of extra life. Klitschko out of nowhere, Klitschko was dreadful against Tyson Fury, the worst he'd ever looked. And you had to be impressed with Klitschko's performance against Joshua.
Most definitely. Well, the saying is always styles make fights, and that's why you've seen a Tyson Fury with a tall, awkward style, then a Klitschko with a robotic style. Joshua come with the same kind of style. He's more robotic, just like Klitschko. He don't really have no kind of athleticism of movement, a mobility about himself. So they styles almost similar. So I already knew that was going to make a perfect fight because they both right there. They both are there to be hit instead of Tyson Fury moving, being tall, using the jab and stuff like that. So that what made that fight so interesting.
Do you have a relation? What's your relationship like with Joshua?
So I don't dislike the guy. I personally I liked him as a person. I like him, but in boxing it's a business. So I must be who I am. I must talk my talk because I like to walk my walk. Like I always say, I must tell him I am the best in the heavyweight division. Period. And if nobody don't believe it, he don't believe it. Come and see me.
And people can see it this weekend. Showtime, correct?
Correct.
You and Stavern at the Barclays Center. It's going down. Some tickets still available? Are there any tickets? There's some tickets still available. So Barclays Center, wonderful place, becoming the fight capital of New York City. One good fight after another, it feels like, at the Barclays Center. So speaking of Tyson Fury, I saw Fury. I feel like I saw Fury at your fight at the Barclays Center maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
After you came up here the first time.
You're right.
I went to the fight, and my wife and I were at the bar, and not surprisingly, at the bar, Tyson Fury comes walking up. While he had cameras on him, mind you.
Really?
He had cameras on him. He was the new champion, and we were like, oh, it was one of those kind of exciting moments because even though I despised his fight against Klitschko, it was a putrid-looking fight to watch. At the same time, it's the new champ. You're like, oh, this is pretty cool. Here comes the champion. And he grabbed a drink. I was like, wow, he's definitely enjoying the moment, and I thought about that. I went to see him. And then you fast forward, the man puts on like 100 pounds, completely seems to derail, admits to doing, drugs and coke and drinking, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, Deontay, I don't know if you've seen this. This week, he says, watch out, he's getting back in the mix, and he's trying to angle for an Anthony Joshua fight. What the hell are your thoughts on Tyson Fury? This is an interesting character, to say the least.
Nah, I like Tyson Fury. We got a closer relationship.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about this guy, because from the outside, he seems like a nut. So please fill me in.
He's the type of dude that speak his piece. I speak my piece as well. I think sometimes when things he say, he try to make people laugh or whatever, just do the crazy stuff like that. Certain things that I wouldn't do that he does. But that's him. That's him. You know what I mean? And you have to respect a guy that just his colors. And I think he's good for the sport though. To be able to speak your piece like you want, no matter what. It always are consequences behind your actions, no matter what you do. And that's how he is. But when it comes to boxing, I don't think Tyson Fury would be back. I know he even tagged me in it and sent me a message talking about the motivation because I said, you ain't coming back. You ain't going to get in shape. I was motivating
You're trying to motivate him.
Motivating him to come back because we promoted our fight for like 5 years. I like when he came in the ring and stuff. I don't do no ring stuff like that.
But it was entertaining.
It was entertaining for people. I let people enjoy their moments. You know what I mean? But certain people want to come in the ring, and what he did was definitely entertaining. I'm like, all right, we close to the fight. Then we might fight, real soon. And then all of a sudden, you hear the bad news, him getting on drugs and gaining weight. He probably about 400 pounds. He talking about he coming back, but they won't even give him his license to fight in England right now, So
because he's too much of a mess. He's been
too much of a mess. But the thing about, I don't even think it's just too much of a mess because if it wasn't for Tyson Fury, UK wouldn't be on the map. If it wasn't for Tyson Fury, Klitschko would still be champ. You feel me? And the thing about it, they praise Joshua, but don't give Tyson Fury his credit.
Well, it was ugly because he did it ugly. I think
it don't matter.
No, you're
ugly win or pretty win is a win.
No, listen, there are fighters that we admire their whole career. B-Hop had a whole career, a lot of it filled with ugly fights and wins. But guess what? It was wins.
Yeah, but that thing about it is Joshua, he say what he's supposed to say and he do what he's supposed to do. It's like he looked the part and he's the Muppet and he say what he's supposed to say.
But you don't believe it.
Believe what?
You don't believe that Joshua's really about it. You think he's like you said, he's in the position, he looks great, sounds great. But you don't feel that he has that it factor to me.
Not to be a champion. You gotta be what king you knew was a nice king. You know what I mean?
On Game of Thrones, none.
Especially when it comes to war. You know what I'm saying? He may be nice among his people. As a king, I'm nice among all my people. But when it comes to war, battle, I'm a savage. When it comes to that, you must be. You must have that attitude that you the best in the world, and that's what I bring. But with him, he ain't even confident in himself because of what they got going on. I think it's deal with his promoter and stuff like that. I talk about it all the time. His promoter grew up with money. He's a spoiled brat. All he know is money. Father gave him everything he has, so he don't know what it's like coming from the mud, coming up, cleaning yourself off, and putting yourself in positions like that because he's always had it. So when he see Joshua is the cash cow. And then it Hearns and everybody else. he's the cash cow. I'm the one that's gonna stop that money from flowing over there. I'm gonna take all the straps, and they ain't rushing to make this fight happen.
That was my next question. You don't think they're rushing to make this happen?
Not at all. I mean, Hearns talked about coming to America. He was talking about fighting some other guy. They was going to even bring Klitschko to Vegas. But why would you bring Joshua to America and not fight the American King? Nobody knows Joshua here, you know. And, you know, they got a great thing going on in England. And when it comes to me, it's like, I don't want to stop this. They talking about not even coming to America. Why come to America? We can stay here. Yeah, we doing a good thing here, you know. And I'm like, come on, mate. Let's make this money, eh?
Come on, bro.
You know, and it's kind of, I don't know, that right there is irritating to me, you know, because when he won that fight against his last fight, I was like, all right, he finna call my name out, he finna talk some shit, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it. And next thing I know, he talking about everything else. It make you cringe, you know what I mean? It's like, man, bro, it's a cringing feeling. And he always say, well, I want what the people want. And out of all those people, what it was 70-something in there in Wales, he said, well, who you all want? Everybody said Wilder. I'm like, there it is. You know what I mean? So then, it's crazy, man. I don't know what those, you know.
Now, I don't want to get you to allege something you don't feel, but I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Could there be a world in which you think, how do I put this, that Team Joshua would be very happy with the WBC's decision to make you fight a mandatory?
Of course they would, but, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, I got a whole year before I fight a mandatory. So, you know, if they want to wait a whole year and still dodge me and neglect the fact that we're ready, then only thing they doing is building up fans that's going against them. Because right now, it has been a reversal of fans' opinions. They see what they're doing. They see how they're ducking and dodging me, even with the lack of confidence that Joshua has. So now the fans is really seeing the bullshit and dressing it another way. So now everybody is against them now. Fight. Why y'all want? Anytime an England fan come on, talk about anything crazy, you got 3 or 4 Americans on them. And I'm loving the fact that what it is now, because everybody understanding and seeing what has happened. You know, with me, they tell me, oh, he ain't fought nobody, he ain't did it. But it's always a cost. It's a reason why. Before I done called out everybody in the game. All the top, the best that the division has to offer. Deontay Wilder been called them out.
Well, I was going to say, you sort of caught a bad break now. If in fact you don't get to fight Joshua now, and then I hope then Joshua doesn't take a fight and lose it, and certainly that you don't lose your mandatory, but because you caught a bad break with the Tyson Fury thing. That was the first time people thought, all right, we're going to see what this Deontay Wilder's all about, because you got a whole lot of knockouts very quickly. And the word I heard from a lot of people was like, this guy's really talented. You didn't start out uber refined. You know what I'm saying? They're like, but he's getting there. Let's see what he can do against a big name. Fury gets the title. Oh, perfect opportunity. Blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, Fury's completely out of the picture now. So now it's about Anthony Joshua. This is the second one now, looking for a big money fight for you.
But it started way before Fury, though. You know what I mean?
In terms of calling people out.
When I got my title, I called Klitschko out. I've been called Klitschko out years ago. Klitschko said, I need to fight somebody else. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait, you got all the belts, and I got the WBC, something that you never had before.
Right.
And you said you wanted to bring it back to the family. And I need to fight somebody else. If I'm so easy, then come and take this. Then it went from there on, so forth and so on. Guys just been ducking and dodging. They had this guy named Glaskov. He was supposed to have been, one of the best. He fought Charles Martin. That guy ended up doing something to his knees. They was fighting for the vacant belt. Charles Martin became champion. Charles Martin went to England, sold his belt. Now Joshua got it. Joshua always had the opportunity and stuff like that. And as from another black man to another black man, I'm happy for the things that he got going on. It's about time to see something, you know what I'm saying, and over in this country. But, for me, I haven't had the best of luck in this sport because of my attributes and the things that I bring in this division. Maybe how I present myself, or maybe how I talk to these guys, that they get frightful. They get scared of me for some reason.
But you're not like overly disrespectful, in my opinion. You're clear and you're matter of fact, But I mean, there have been a lot of fighters who have gotten fights before who've talked way crazier and said things that were more disrespectful.
Most definitely.
Certainly than you have.
Most
Maybe you should try the Shannon Briggs approach. Maybe it's time to start showing up, you know what I'm saying? Grab people's salads. What was your favorite Shannon Briggs video, though?
I think my favorite one was when he chased Klitschko. He caught him in the water. Yeah. Now that was funny. I must admit that was funny. Now I liked that one. I laughed at that one. But I always said that what Shannon Briggs was doing, being that his age, I said that it can go two ways. It can go up or it can go down. Meaning that the upside of it, being that his age, of all this chasing behind these guys and calling them out and being disrespectful, if it works, then it's a brilliant idea. But if it don't work, it makes him look silly.
You just look like a crazy guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Screaming.
But the thing about it worked. He ended up getting a title shot for the WBA, a regular belt or whatever. And what he go do? He got caught with PEDs.
What is it with the PEDs, bro? It must be so frustrating when you're doing things natural. Now, how careful are you? Take us through that, because it seems like there are a lot of people who get caught who are obviously being blatantly trying to cheat. But then it seems like there are other people getting caught who aren't necessarily trying to cheat. They're trying to walk the line as well as they can and end up taking something they shouldn't. How do you go about handling, what you put in your body? This is a serious thing.
Well, what I do, if I'm gonna take something that definitely I haven't tried before and it's something new, I get with VADA. I let them know what's the list, what's all this. I got my team. We does things like that. Just to make sure. Because sometimes you can take an energy drink or something like that, and it can cost out. But when it's time to fight or something like that, or when again, especially in camp or something like that, I don't really take nothing. Really, I don't think I need it. I've tried protein and certain things like that, but at the end of the day, it don't do nothing for me because my body is so different. My weight goes up and down all the time. It seems like I gain weight, but then I lose it. I gain because I got a high metabolism as well too. I'm like, man, this shit ain't doing nothing for me.
What's your weight right now?
My weight right now, I don't even know. I don't know. We don't.
You don't even. Well, you're heavyweight, so you don't have to worry about it as much.
There you go.
That is such a different ballgame. Now, do you have fighters from other weight classes where you talk to them, but you can't relate at all in terms of the making weight situation?
Well, I in the Olympics, we was in China, and that was the first time I had to deal with losing. I had to lose like a pound or something like that because in the Olympics they real strict about that. Like, if you ain't the right weight, you that's it. You know what I'm saying? You disqualify, especially when you go into the games. They don't play. They real strict. I had one of my teammates, Gary Russell, lost to the scale.
What was the weight limit for?
Mine's is 201. It's always been 201.
For heavyweight?
For heavy.
Wow.
201.
That's light.
201. Yeah. So I remember I was like 202 or something like that. So I had to go, and the atmosphere. People gotta understand that when you go to different regions of the world, you know what I mean, the atmosphere is different. So just because you lose weight here in America and you had the humidity and stuff like that, doesn't mean you're gonna do the same thing in China or Russia or Brazil. You know what I mean? It's different. So you gotta know, you gotta be on your weight. So I had to run, you know what I'm saying? I had to do it like I was. So I got to experience what it's like to have to lose weight and stuff. And I tell you, man, I respect the smaller weights and stuff like that because it's a struggle, man. They really have to beat their body day in and day out. They can't eat their favorite food. They can't eat certain things. They can't drink certain things.
You eat very comfortably?
Oh, man, what? I came one time with a strawberry cheesecake on the scale. I made a lot of the little guys mad, but hey, what they gonna do? You know what I mean?
Well, how much do you, when you're in fight mode in the final few weeks, are you more particular about what you put in your body?
Yeah. Like the week of the fight, I'm real particular about what I eat and stuff like that. I like to eat pasta and stuff. Pasta, the noodles give you energy.
Right. So you stick with just carbs. You go carb heavy and things like that.
Yeah, I like every now and then. My favorite food is pizza though. Ain't nothing like a pizza and Pepsi, man.
And that's beautiful because you're fighting in Brooklyn.
There you go. And we were just talking about, man, we need to go get some pizza. You know,
it's a great way to celebrate on Saturday night after you get this win.
For sure. And going to Patsy's, we were talking about going to Patsy's, man. You know, so, but that's just me. My body, I got a blessed body. I like to be lean and athletic. You know, I can slip through the things like that. I tell some people like, man, you don't, heavyweights. We used to seeing heavyweights like this. I said I'd rather be the part than look the part. Because
it's not like
the part.
But you're a pretty huge dude, though. Who's saying that?
back in the, everybody already reminisce about back in the days.
Yeah, but even if you go back,
heavyweights.
If you go back, heavyweight body types are so different generally, right? Like you look at Ali. Ali doesn't look like a quintessential heavyweight.
Yeah, he about 215.
Right.
Even Holyfield about 217. Tyson won that.
Exactly. Tyson 215. And Holyfield, remember, Holyfield came up 4 different weight classes.
Yes.
Started out 170 something pounds. So
Like heavyweight.
who's your favorite fighter to watch?
My favorite fighter of all time, and he's my idol, is Muhammad Ali. But I also like Tommy Hearns as well too. Those two guys was my 2 favorite fighters.
Did you get to know Ali at all before he passed?
I've gotten to meet him before.
And was he aware of who you were and what you were doing?
I don't, it was so many guys. I was in the amateurs during that time. By the time I turned pro, he'd been and passed away and stuff like. Well, I wouldn't say by the time I turned pro.
But but in the time when you've been really popping, it's probably around the time it was very close to the end for him.
Yeah, because I won my title on this, it was his birthday the 15th, so I won it on the 17th, 2 days before. That was a big moment for me. Martin Luther King on the 17th, so that was right on his birthday. So that was very monumental for me, and that was
Who got you into Ali?
To Ali?
Yeah.
Ali been around for years, man. It's just like
did you have a family member though who was like, you need, because you're a young guy,
right?
So it's seeing those fights. I mean, now it's easier with YouTube and everything. You can go look up fights. But when you were a kid, did you have a family member who was like, yo, I want to show you these old fights?
Nah, it's just seeing different things about Ali and stuff like that. Because during my time when I was coming up boxing, I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so we all about football and basketball, mostly football. You know what I mean? So you will see fights like Roy Jones, and you'll see the Holyfields and stuff like that. So, but if you see boxing, you got to know Muhammad Ali. All the kids knew who Muhammad Ali was, and I like the way. What really got me into Muhammad Ali, especially when I start boxing. I was a fan of his coming up, but when I got into the sport of boxing, I really became a fan because I felt like I built a closer relationship with him because I'm doing the same occupation that he did.
Right, and you can actually appreciate what he's doing.
Correct.
Because it's hard. Fans of boxing. The thing that makes, for example, like a Max Kellerman very special in terms of how he breaks down boxing is for a non-boxer, and he's done some training, but for a non-boxer, he understands it. But for the average fan, we love it, but our level of understanding it, boxing is one of those sports that you get it, but you break it down to very simple terms unless you've done it.
Done it, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm guessing your appreciation of Ali when you are a heavyweight championship level fighter, it's just a different sort of appreciation for what he did.
Oh, most definitely. It's definitely a different appreciation. I just, about him, I love the way he would talk to these guys. Talk his talk, to walk his walk. You know what I mean? And he believed in himself. And that's a major thing, especially when you're in this sport right here. This is a brutal sport. This is one of the most difficult sports in the world. You just can't find nobody and just, you look the part, so you're going to be this. Because a lot of people say, all the fighters are in football or basketball. But that sometimes that ain't true because you see the size, or you see size is not everything when it comes to comeback stuff. It's mental. It's all in your mind. It's all the belief in your heart.
It's how you respond when being punched in the face. There's a lot of different things. Now, a couple times you've alluded to sort of, I wouldn't say political things, but social things. And obviously that's a huge part of Ali's legacy is what he was like socially and politically. You're from Alabama. Mm-hmm. Alabama is a place that is certainly regarded, at least by the North, as a place where you believe that racism is pretty open. A, did you feel that experience was true growing up? And B, what's your take on what's happening right now in this country racially? Because we're as divided right now as we've been in a very long time.
Well, as an Alabama, I haven't seen racism or heard about it until my 30s or something like that. You know what I mean? I didn't see it around at all. Especially Tuscaloosa, it's a loving place. It's a magical place, what they call it. Most time people come to Tuscaloosa. It gets slow at first, and people, I can't. It's slow, but it's peaceful. But people always seem to stay there. They always seem to stay there and stuff like that. So I didn't see it until then, But the way it is now, the world is now, it's like racism. It seems like it'll never die. It's always like it's a remedy to stopping it. It could have been stopped a long time ago. It's due to the kids. If your parents raising your children up and they bringing racism in it and they don't teaching the right things about it, of course the next generation gonna carry it on. It's so many. The thing about the South, what I like about it, people are open and honest about it. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna bullshit you. They ain't gonna be behind the corner. They gonna, and everywhere else other than the South, people, hey, how you doing? In your face, shake your hand, but behind that corner when they go behind, a long time and stuff, you know what I mean? They use any type of words they want. I'd rather for somebody to be straight up in my face. You know what I mean? Straight up to me. That's what I take it. And the way the world is now, man, is man, it's like when you talking about racism, especially when you talk about black people, what had happened in the past is still occurring today. It's just in the modern day. You know what I mean? Back in the time, that's why I always tell Anthony Joshua, he in the UK, man. They gonna praise you so far and so high until they gonna stop believing their own bullshit, because the slave trade started over there in the UK. They took those people, they tricked them into signing something after the abolished slavery. They tricked them to giving over their freedom for rights and privileges, small, very small. And then they handed them a Bible. You know what I mean? And it still occurred to this day. Yeah, and it's just sad.
Well, it's covered up a little bit more in England too, because slaves weren't in England, right? So America's inherently a different place because slavery was such a huge part of the foundation of the country, whereas in England, the racism's still there.
Yeah, of course.
It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah, it's different. They act like it's not there or whatever, but it's there. I have friends there all the time. They tell me all the time.
I have a good friend who lives in London, who has been planning for the last few years, been trying to move here because. This is ironic saying it in Trump's America. He wants to move here to escape racism.
Really?
He does.
From where?
London. He feels that given the life he's lived, where he moves in a lot of different circles, he's done well for himself. He feels a certain level of the way he's looked at and pressure that he feels better about when he's here. He visits here quite a bit.
And what nationality is he?
Black.
Really? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get away from this.
Well, how do you feel that your man Tyson Fury, your buddy, said he wanted Donald Trump to walk him to the ring?
Really?
Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, everybody got their own opinion.
You will not be asking Donald Trump to walk you to the ring. Okay. Who would be someone you would ask to walk you to the ring?
Yeah, I mean, hey, tune in November the 4th. We got 50 Cent coming. I'm the man.
50 Cent, you in New York?
Yeah,
this Saturday night.
I'm in Brooklyn, so why not?
I run New York. All right.
Hey.
So this Saturday night, Showtime, Deontay Wilder defending his WBC championship against Tavern. Listen, hopefully the WBC stops playing games and we get this Joshua fight soon. Because, listen, I just want to see, as a young man, I want to see you get this opportunity, man. These things, and if Team Joshua's paying attention to this, they hear this interview. I hope they know you don't have to be a genius to have seen these things go away before. Exactly. I've seen people get hyped up and almost get there, and then the big fight doesn't happen, and then they lose, and they never got the big paycheck they were waiting for.
Over and over again.
And to your point, maybe Joshua's team, if they come from money, it doesn't mean the same thing. But Joshua still wants, for him and his life and his family and his legacy, he wants to get that huge millions and millions of dollar paycheck.
Yeah, of course.
And you guys got to come together, I think, at this point for that to happen.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I think he understands that, as a fighter, you're more braver than somebody that a promoter or something that they ain't gonna take punches, because the promoters or anybody else fans, they always be the first ones that's like, you'll do this, we'll beat you and this, but you ain't finna take this pain, you ain't finna take no punch, you ain't finna get hit in the face. So you can talk that talk, but only thing it's gonna do is make me more meaner than when I get your man in there. So, hopefully thing happens sooner than later, because it'll be such a disaster if it doesn't ever happen or whatever. But hey, we looking forward to, I got November the 4th.
Go handle your business
at the
Saturday,
Barclays
man.
Center on Showtime.
All right,
People
man.
tune in to come, baby. We about to get crazy.
All right, come back next time, man.
My man.
Deontay Wilder, the WBC champ. Thank you, bro.
Bomb Squad!
I hate you.